We only played one game Saturday. We played 2 games yesterday. We won one.
You're being recorded
yesterday, so
okay.
It was a good time. Kids had a good time, so that's all that matters.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Sifu, how's the North Country?
The mountain is still the mountain. It's cold up here too. I know that's kind of odd. We're still in Arizona and it's cold.
Oh yeah, I see you got some warmth around the neck. You're ready for it.
Yeah, it gets it'll get down in the low 50s tonight. So, mountain living is different. That's for sure.
Well, let's start off tonight just Q&A. If anybody's got questions, I know some of you guys I've seen very recently. Some of you guys it's been a month. Some of you guys it's been a couple of weeks. Anybody got any questions to start off? See a couple sideways head nods. No. Ryan, how you living up there or down there, wherever you are? I know where you are, but wherever that is.
Yeah, out west.
Yeah, there you go.
Been good. Good first week of practice last week and get settled in. But yeah, I guess maybe a good question would be going from training with you to now with coaches. How do I, within something that's really structured and their own deal that they don't want to be changed a lot, how would I still get my own drill work and that sort of thing incorporated?
That's a great question. So typically, and even all the way up to pro ball, you're going to find that team practice is always going to be team practice. Everybody does team practice, right? The guys that separate themselves are the guys that do their own work. And they usually do it kind of in silence in a way, where it's like it might be at the apartment or you might go to the gym or wherever it is, but it's away from practice. It's not necessarily making noise and making sure everybody sees what you're doing before practice, like some guys will do it, right? It's more like I always call it crossing the T's and dotting the I's, but it's like you should be getting something from team practice that helps you, especially as a team player. But then what do you need on a daily basis to help you develop yourself, because your goals are, yes, to help the team, but you also have goals beyond this season. So that's where the development piece, and it's a big thing to remember that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So the idea with that, like your nutrition, your sleep, your recovery, it's not necessarily always going to be that you need more physical work. There are going to be times. And there are going to be things like throwing sock. I recommend for a lot of guys. Throwing sock, something you can do almost anywhere you want, right? And it gives you feedback, but at the same time, it's not necessarily going to tax you on top of what you've already done. Weight room wise, it's going to kind of be the same thing where it's like, yes, everybody's, you're going to have your team lifts. Everybody's doing your team lifts, but you're going to want to find some time that you can do your stuff, and a lot of times, and it's funny because Sifu's going to share some stuff tonight. Not really funny, but right on cue, actually. The animal training, like the kind of stuff that I like to do too, even to this day, like on my own, if I get, I would say a 10 to 15 minute morning session and a 10 to 15 minute evening session, my day's right there, right? Where it's almost like micro workouts. They're broken in. Now there are times that I love, especially when Sifu's running stuff, sometimes it's, if we can last an hour, if we can last an hour, it's an hour. But like a lot of times with this stuff, and sometimes I'm doing it at more of a meditative pace. Other times I'm doing it more at the high heart rate, but it's like just getting what you need on a daily basis and just kind of checking in. I mean, same thing. I mean, if let's say you go to church on Sunday and that's the only thing you ever did, right? It's a little different than if you were to read your own Bible or, do that kind of stuff. So I think that kind of, it's all kind of the same. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. And then you'll kind of find where you get in, and I'm always here if you ever need me. If like, hey, I'm struggling with this here, I need a way to work on this away from practice, let me know. it's funny because I get some guys who they're really good at pitching games. They really struggle with playing catch. Or I'll get guys who, there's just little things. Hey, I'm really struggling with pickoffs right now. So there's just different ways and different things that you can do on your own. I do recommend mirror work, dry work, a lot of different, like even with your delivery where you're just feeling it out. I think it's good sometimes in the morning. I always joke, you're doing it while you're brushing your teeth. So you're doing it in the morning and you're doing it at night. But that's typically kind of like the bookends of your day. So the more you can kind of control that or, I guess, focus that, I should say, more than control, focus those 2 times of the day. And that's a good thing.
Sweet. Thanks. Yeah, I think just the first thing immediately was, all right, our catch play drills are very, it's great. We have a great program and a great plan. It's just different, obviously, than what I'm doing on a daily basis. So, right off the bat, it was, okay, how do because I don't want to go, for the first day, I think it was, we went through catch play routine. And the first time we went through a pitching motion was on the mound. And for me, that's something that isn't the greatest.
So you're saying I had you doing all athletic throwing drills and that kind of stuff?
Mostly, yeah, or rooted or that sort of thing.
Which I agree with to a point. As you know, we like doing a lot of athletic stuff too, but to me, the one that matters the most is the one I'm going to do when I'm on the hill. So,
yeah. So it's probably dry work is what.
Yeah, dry work, and get yourself a throwing sock. I can send you the link later. It's just, I think they're like $30 on Amazon, but you've used one with me, I think, but it gives you the feedback, almost like the volleyball where you're smashing the volleyball and it will pop. It'll make a good snap if you do it right. I know Ethan has one. Coop, you got one? Where's Coop?
I don't think I do.
No throwing sock. Okay, you're one of the other guys I thought might have a throwing sock, but
I've used it before though.
yeah, it's a good feedback tool. And you need no partner, and you can do it in the dark, which sometimes I really like. It's like training in the shadows, where it's fine when the sun goes down, go where it's dark and work on your delivery. Because if you can do it in the dark, you'll feel, it's like when we do the eyes closed stuff, but without an option.
Yeah. Thanks.
Absolutely. Anybody else got a question? How about Coop? Let's go to the Koopa Loop down here. I know you're driving home from practice, it looks like, but I know you two are off at college. You've been gone the longest. What's up?
Yeah, I guess my only question, I guess, kind of goes along with him, is our throwing program is very strict like that. So I was wondering if there was anything specifically in those days, like we have a command day, a bullpen day, a velo day, and a recovery day. So I guess I just was wondering, what are things I can focus on specifically in those days, day to day, and then what, obviously probably do some athletic throwing and stuff like that in the 3 off days. But
well, I'd say a command day, how are they grading? What are they doing to make it a command day?
So we throw a flat ground. We play 21 with our partner, and then we throw, I believe it's 75 feet, and then we throw change-ups with softballs. And
for command still? That's still
yes,
considered
still
command?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, that's good. I mean, I'd say bottom line, if you were to boil it down to the simplest, is just make sure you always have breath body baseball, right? Every time you throw a ball, whether it's at high intensity, low intensity, off a mound, a long toss session, you're doing pickoffs, whatever it is, breath body baseball should kind of just always be there. As far as on a command day, to me, I think you should always have a intended spin, an intended shape, and an intended location. Even if I have my eyes closed, I have one. You're highlighting one a little more than the other. What does the velo day look like? Tell me more about that.
So our minimum is 150 feet. We're throwing pretty much everything on a line. We throw softballs on the way out, and then if we miss 2 of 4 arm side, we switch it over to a baseball and then throw everything on a line all the way back in. And then we do knee throws, 3 knee throws and 3 shuffle throws into a net. That's pretty much it.
And you're doing those on a radar gun? Is that what
Yes.
makes a velo day? Okay.
Right.
So I mean that's kind of the same idea, but I mean I think the thing to watch out for is that typically velo, it's not always that more is more, right? Like there are times where less is more as far as when your effort's there. So it's going to be a gauging thing. If you're only throwing 3 balls for velo, then that's kind of hard to do. But if you were to have like the gun on consistently, what I would challenge you to do is see how easy you can throw hard. So like if you can find the effort level of, we've talked about that scale of 100, but you have 0 to 100 miles an hour, and then you have 0 to 100%. Those are 2 different scales. So if we can find where you're at like 80 to 85% on the effort scale, but you're pretty close to that 100% on the output scale or the velo scale, that's what we're looking for. So versus like sometimes guys will throw 90 and then they try harder to throw 91 instead of saying, hey, how easy can I hit 90 now? And then once you find how easy you can hit 90, it just tends to jump, and it tends to jump more than just a mile. It usually is a few. And then you're like, oh, whoa, what happened? Right.
Right.
What was the other kind of day? So you said velo day, you said command day. You said recovery day. I'm guessing that's field day. Okay, yeah. So what do you consider recovery day?
Yeah, so recovery, we throw 9-ounce balls and 7-ounce balls, pretty much alternating. We don't even touch a baseball on those days.
Okay.
And I think our max is 70 feet.
Max
and it's like 40 to 60% intent.
Okay. So I mean that's like a low.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I like that little variable. Yeah, I mean that's the other thing I like on those kind of days is like a football. A lot of guys tend to like to throw the football on a recovery day.
For sure.
And then bullpen. I mean, yeah, I think the biggest thing in the bullpen is how close can you make the bullpen to game like, right? And there's going to be certain elements that are different, but I think as far as like your pre-pitch breath and your body language, it's absolutely key, right? So following the 3-second rule after you throw the baseball, but every time making sure you're very almost methodical about your breath. So going through and making sure your breath is completely connected to your set, and then making sure your breath is completely connected to the throw. And obviously there's no adrenaline in a bullpen, so it's going to be a little bit different than a game in that sense. But if you can make the breath the same, and if you can make your reaction to the pitch the same, 10 feet tall, bulletproof, fire breathing dragon, right? Out arrow.
For sure.
Does that kind of answer though? I think as much as you can make it similar in the ways that it needs to be similar, but also like if it's a recovery day, keep it a recovery day. Like we say it where it's like, if today's a low intensity day, stay low intensity. If you throw 100, keep it up 75. If it's a high intensity day, go to a high intensity unless your arm's mad, and then just back it off a little bit,
Right. I think pretty much that pretty much explained it. Is if I'm throwing on another day, say, because we have 3 different off days. We have a Wednesday off day, a Saturday, and a Sunday. Like what would probably, should I just like play it by how I feel on those days?
I think that's a good idea. Kind of like we were saying with Ryan, but we're like dot the I and cross the T. So like if the day before was a bullpen, then it's probably a low intensity day. If the day before was a recovery day, you probably want to go up a notch.
Okay. And
I think also the thing to kind of take into play, and I talked to guys about this, you guys probably have heard me say this, but if it's a low intensity throw day, to me, then the warm up should be higher. Like you should have a higher intensity warm up, more reps, take 20, 30 minutes before you throw a ball. And then that's a low intensity day, and then make sure you take care of your arm afterwards, right?
Yeah.
If it's a medium intensity day, then it's kind of the same thing where it's medium-ish, probably 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes of prep, and then go into your throw. And then afterwards, same kind of thing, like kind of match it. And then the high and the lows are the days that kind of flip-flop. So like high intensity game day, you're going to have less time, first of all, but also less different energy to put into your warm-up, right? So like on game day, I might be doing more breath work, more visualization kind of stuff versus like a low intensity day. I'd encourage you to kind of kick your butt before you start to do your low intensity throws.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure your heart's beating good. So that's where you could kind of fill those gaps too, where if that Wednesday is like a fill in the gap day, you can fill it with whatever you want. And maybe it'll be something that you hear from Sifu here in a minute when he talks about the animals and how they can kind of help mentality wise, but also with the body reconditioning, or even, helping, for example, with rolling dragon. And a lot of you guys have done rolling dragon, but rolling dragon to me was at times an exercise, other times it was a meditation, other times it was like a rehabilitation move. So I think, it kind of, you got to listen to your body, listen to your arm, but there might be a day where it's like, hey, I just really need to open up today. Well, here's a really good exercise to open you up.
For sure.
All right, let's go. Hey, Nate, you got any questions there, Beast? I know you just cranked up. I see you got all your gear on. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, we just had our first day of practice, so
All right, cool.
in the heat for like 3 hours. I don't really have much questions, but
It's all good.
like just figuring out like Rye was saying, like what we can do on our own and compared to like what our teams got for us, especially in the weights as well, because I got weights like 3 times a week plus practice, so it's like trying to manage that, especially with our arms and stuff.
Yeah, ideally you guys are throwing before you're lifting. If there's days that it's just not flexible and you are lifting, because when I was at Michigan State, we used to crush the morning workouts. Like, if I remember right, I want to say it was 4 a.m. We'd meet at the volleyball court, we'd run, or the tennis court, just kind of depended on what the time of the year was because we had snow. But we'd always go on this run, and then we'd go straight to the weight room after that. So we'd basically knock all that stuff out. Then you'd go to class, and then you'd end up going to practice, and then you'd go to study table at night. And then it was kind of that same thing where it was like, okay, where do we fill those gaps? For me at that time, I really liked towel drills. So kind of if I had my extra 10 to 15 minutes working on me was towel drills. There's other guys who like to go and play, they're not supposed to do this, but go play basketball, intramural basketball, or go play, pick up basketball somewhere. We had a couple guys sprain ankles, so they got caught for doing that. But no, I think this is a very common thing that college athletes deal with, and a lot of it is going to also boil down to just time management. So like, I think the more structure you can put in your day, even if it's simple stuff like, obviously hygiene stuff is kind of like, you kind of have to do that stuff, right? Or probably should. But like, I would challenge you to write down like what you eat. And I think Sifu is going to talk a little bit about this too, but the more you pay attention to what you're putting in your body, that's a good thing, right? And that's something that even mentally, that to me helps, physical preparation, mental preparation, they go hand in hand. But if you go to practice and, you go to McDonald's afterwards, there's better options, right? I think that's a big thing though for college athletes, is finding. At Michigan State, we were pretty spoiled. We had good food, but I've been other places, especially some of the minor leagues and independent ball places I've been, where you're eating peanut butter and jelly is probably the best option you got, or maybe tuna fish, like something that's super cheap and super simple. But I think you guys have better options than that nowadays. But yeah, I think that's one thing. And then I think I would prioritize like some type of breath work in your day, something that kind of brings you homeostasis, if you will, but quiets the noise. And then, like we were kind of talking earlier, but maybe it's just like 1 or 2 delivery drills that you do. You get in front of a mirror, and that's your extra work. But I think the challenge is real, right? And I think that challenge is why people like to hire athletes later on in life, people who played college sports, people who have had to manage a schedule, and I think as far as what it can help you as far as the next level, if you're fortunate enough to go play at the next level, right, and you're playing in pro baseball, it's the same kind of a thing where it's like it's even now even more, and there's even you might have more time because you're less time studying, less time doing school, if you will, but you're still going to have to fill the same gaps. And at the end of the day, it's going to be your career and your career only. And if you only do what everybody else does, you're only going to get what everybody else gets. Right. That's just my opinion. I think the guys that put in the extra work really are the guys that I see. I mean, if I know you guys all know I trained Tarek Skubal and get to watch his kind of journey as he's gone through being the best pitcher on the planet right now. But the dude is an animal in everything he does. Right. He's winning the day every day. He's waking up and he's doing things throughout his day, whether it's being a good dad at home before he goes to the field, or if it's once he gets to the field, it's like everything's competitive, and it's not me versus you. It's like him versus himself. It's him today versus him yesterday. And I think that's where it's always fun for all of us to talk about. And a lot of you guys know it, but it's a lifestyle, right? Does that answer?
Yeah.
What you were talking about, Nate?
Yeah, it does.
I think same thing too. Like, just use your resources where it's like, hey, if you want to fire me a text or this calls every week, jump on this call. And just sometimes it's helpful to have somebody help you navigate that's been through it before, or to say like, hey, dude, that's, I know it's not normal for a regular person, but guess what? That's normal for a baseball player. We're weird. So, or a football player, Sifu. Football players are weird too in your own way.
Yeah, we are.
You're warriors.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, let's go to the Ethan squares. Let's see. Let's go Ethan Adams first because of the alphabetical. What you got for me?
You
got any questions tonight, mister?
Not really. No.
Okay. How's the bazooka?
Good. A lot better.
Okay. I know we talked the other day about the feeling of the front side almost dumping out a glass of water over the rubber as you're kind of rolling that hip going down. How's that feeling?
It worked way better than I thought it would.
For that, yeah, huh? What's the feeling?
It was more different in like everywhere else rather than that like beginning part. It just made the ending feel better.
Okay.
I can't really even explain it. It was a lot different.
That was magical. That's a great way to say it. That's maybe the most important part, right? Like we were all playing dominoes and your dominoes kept falling every time and mine were standing up. Oh boy, huh now. All right, how about Ethan Williams? What you got up there, kid?
Not too much, but I don't have any questions.
No questions. Training's good. Cranking up the volume. You text your coach every day.
Yep.
Good boy. Yeah, he does. Let's see who else is on here. It just says my 2 others. I got Izzy. You on here? He's muted out. I think he's listening. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I'm it.
Oh, now, yeah, Izzy's working somewhere. We knew it. Izzy's always working. You got any questions this week?
This week, honestly, no. This week has just been a lot better nutritionally wise. Because I remember last time we were on the phone call, that was the biggest thing. Being on on a budget and still trying to get the proper nutrition in my body, especially without feeling like burnt out all the time. I feel like I'm doing too much. Even like could be something small, but the body just really wasn't there because work takes a toll on it. right? The intensity days. I know you kind of already talked about that in terms of like with velocity, but
Yes, sir.
it's just like picking and choosing on what day. Like for me, like yeah, like my rest days are mostly like my Sundays, so that's what I'm just gonna be spending time doing nothing, just being on my ass, sleep if I can. Cause I feel throughout the week I will get my sleep, like my 8 hours of sleep, but it just still doesn't feel enough. And
Well, you have
but
3 jobs, Izzy, and you're training around the clock. So
yeah, so I just got a like that cleaning job that I was doing, right? So I had a, you know, again, this is my career, right? Baseball is my priority, so I had to cut that out. Um, and I figured once I cut that out, I'm like, holy shit, right? Like that's the smallest thing throughout my day. That's my body's already feeling better. But again, other than that, it's just the nutrition. But that this week has already been better and just feeling explosive when it comes to my throwing because I hate fucking feeling slow. Even if I'm just tossing it 60 feet, like I still want to feel that feeling like with the sock. I know you were talking about that earlier too,
yeah.
right? Um, or even if I'm doing dry work, right? If I do dry work, I do it with a water bag or I just grab a towel and I just do like towel or some strap work. Even if it's simple, just being in my room. But that way I just kind of keep my mind there and just still feeling those feelings that I need to feel out, even if it's a day that I'm not going to go out and throw as like my recovery day, so. But yeah, other than that, everything's been good this week. Now it's just figuring out when I'm going to go higher intensity for this week. 'Cause, my body's feeling good today, so and I'm going to throw here with Daniel in like about 30 minutes or so. So it's like, okay, today could be a great day for, a little higher intensity. But I need to manage that out and see maybe for Friday, right? And then tomorrow, keep it lower intensity, throw the football around. That way, keep the arm going. But
Yeah, I think ideally you have a plan, but you can also adapt inside your plan based on how you feel and what you have available that day.
yeah, I feel like sometimes that's where I kind of get bamboozled, is because I like having a strict plan, right? And I love having that plan. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do A, B, and C throughout the week. But then that's when it's like, holy fuck, am I really able to do this high intensity day today? Because my body's already feeling shocked. And then that's when I'm like, okay, now how do I adjust this day? If I need, like let's just say we got a live at bats on a Friday. Now I feel like shit on Friday. And then that's when I put myself, or like in the bullpen, it's like, man, now I got to change up and adjust my
Yeah,
bullpen style.
just right. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of being it like game like bullpen, now it's like, all right, maybe we short box it, or maybe we just focus on command that day, or focus on the changeup, or right, it's like that type of different style of a bullpen. But I don't want to get it to a point where, because I've done that, and I've realized I've done a lot of those throughout the past, where it's like, okay, now it became almost um, like a routine with my bullpens, that those bullpens have been those low intensity days. And I'm like, well, maybe this is where it comes to play with my velocity a little bit. Maybe I do need more high intensity days. My body already adapted to being so kind of shocked, and every time I throw a bullpen, it's always a lower intent command day. So
Yeah,
I
and that
think,
might be where it's better to have your plan too, then that way where it is planned out. Because
yeah,
then you do know you can adjust your stuff around it, but you're still gonna make that your priority is to make sure you get to that.
yeah,
Maybe it works around your work schedule too.
yeah. Because now hopefully this week I'm aiming for it to be a lot better because I cut that cleaning and service like out of my schedule, and like that's something I just don't need right now. I do need it, right? I need the money, but at the same time, it's like, well, this is my priority, and I just don't want to get to a point where I'm working more on work for money rather than working on my craft, and that having it take a toll on my performance. That's
Yeah,
the
see,
last
that's
thing.
another balance like these guys are talking about with their school. Now you're in the pro game in the off season, and now you're you're having to take the things, because you already did this in college, right? You had to balance things in college, but now you're having to balance it even at a whole nother level.
Yeah, and it's a
And
different.
there's nobody telling you what to do, right? I mean, you're basically accountable. I mean, I know you have people you're accountable in your life, and guys that are helping you with your training, but at the same time, you're really in charge of it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and it's like you're right. It's like now instead of studying at a certain time or trying to meet a deadline at a certain time, now the different ball game is okay. Now I gotta fill in work throughout this time because again, if I go high intensity today at the gym, right, it's a full body day, right, really focus on my explosive work, yada yada yada, go to throw in or whatever it is. It's almost the same routine as I had in college. But now if I get home, right, I cook, clean, do this and that, and then get ready for work. Or in the morning, right? I have work in the morning. Once I'm done with that, it's like filling, like you said, filling in that gap instead of studying or going to class. Now it's like I'm going to work, type deal, which is cool, but it still takes like a toll because this isn't full time yet, where I can play a full season throughout the whole year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like shit. Now, how do I manage this? How do I kind of get the point to the next level without completely burning out?
Well, I think the thing that you're going to deal with too, and you are dealing with this right now, and it's good for these guys to hear as kind of a forecast what they could deal with. But what do you focus on for an off season, right? Like for some guy, and I know some of the stuff you're focusing on because we talked about it, but I think you have to address certain needs. Like, are you building your body? Are you building a certain type of strength? Is there an injury you're overcoming? Is there a pitch count? Is there a new pitch? There's always all these things each year that you kind of get to, as you reinvent yourself every year, you want to keep your base, but you're also looking to sharpen and get a little bit better at your skills. What's one thing you can kind of share with us that you're working on that you think might be helpful for these guys to hear about?
Definitely my strength, because I feel because I did get the starting role, and from where it's been before and where I've felt like in the weight room, right, it's my endurance. So strength and endurance for me has been like, okay, I want to still feel strong, even if it's later in the game, 6, 7 innings, and I'm still 90 pitches in, right? And that for me this off season has really been a focus and just staying explosive, really, because before I've really everything in the weight room has just been focused on strength, right? Just been focused, oh, how heavy can I lift? How like how much more weight can I go in these exercises? But nah, for me now, what's different? It's like cool. I separate those on different days because that will be like my intensity day in the gym. But now it's like, okay, how much load can I put on like for an example, put on the bar? How fast can I make it move for 15 reps, for an example? And then that's like almost putting me like I already put myself in a game situation where it's like, okay, it's later in the game, my everything's fatigued, my legs don't really feel they're there. My upper body may feel like it's wanting to slow down. But here in the gym, I kind of put myself in that setting. It's like, okay, I'm in 7th, 8th inning. How fast can I move this weight while still feeling fatigued, right? And this is like the small muscle, like me, like fucking up with my mind a little bit. But in reality, within those, like to really work on my explosiveness, is like, okay, maybe on other days I'll only do 3 sets of 8 or 3 sets of 6. But how fast can I move that under a certain amount of time? If I go anything under a certain time, it's like, okay, cut it. I'm not being explosive anymore. That's not going to be beneficial for me, right? So that's just like one.
Bar speed, is that what you're measuring for that as a feedback, or
What's that?
are you measuring bar speed? Is that what you're measuring?
Yeah. Bar speed, right? Or it's like me, like I don't have the proper equipment, right, to do any of that, or have something
Okay,
that's attached to a bar, right? So for me, it's mostly my buddy holding up a clock.
Okay, that's fine.
So it's
Hey,
like,
man, guys find ways to get stuff done,
yeah. So there's still human error within on that. So it's not like to the bone, right? But I know where that really translates for me, and I know where it's really helped has been in hill sprints, right?
I was going
And
to ask about your hill sprints. Yep.
yeah, or it's that with the tire, with some tire pulls, and then coming once I go. I think right now I'm in like progression, so I've started out with like 20 yards, increased to 30. Now I'm at 40 yards, kind of like a football style training with like tire sprints. But now I'm like with 2 tires, back to 20 yards, and it's like measuring that time, right? And right now I'm comparing my times to last year's times, and then on Fridays, then I do that on the hill. But I'm to 1 tire on the hill now, so it's kind of
last time Izzy was throwing at the facility, I came outside and walked out to my car to leave, and he's in the parking lot with a tire, and he's sitting there and he's curling and pressing and lifting this tire in the parking lot.
yeah, that one's insane. I got that from my boy Joe, and he got that from the DR because he was training there for like 2 years. He was living out there, and he's like, "This is the best exercise I've ever done." He's like, "This was like a warm up for everybody out there." He's like, "This is what just got us going." But
They just never met Sifu before, I think,
Oh yeah. So yeah, I just started doing that as like a small part of my arm care, and my shoulders have never felt stronger. Like tires,
But it's like extra work, right? And
yeah.
you're getting it done. Like I had rocks. I had these 2 rocks that I'd always go home, and I had that one of them was a 1-hand rock, the other was a 2-hand rock. And I mean, it literally different places I've played where I have no equipment. I played in Mexico. I had a band and a jump rope. That was it. But I found a bunch of ways to use them, So, well,
What works.
exactly. Gonna say we're chomping away here. We're rocking, but I want to make sure Sifu gets a chance to kind of share for us tonight. Sifu, if you would, will you take the floor for a little bit? And I think most of these guys are at least familiar with the animal training, but maybe just a little bit of what you'd like to share. I'll leave it at that.
Well, how would you, because this could be a 2-hour dissertation if we let it.
Yeah, of course.
The animal training, are you wanting to give it like a little bit of an overview of it then, I assume?
Yeah, like how about like, for example, just in my brain, I'm here right now, but maybe like what would be the benefits for a baseball pitcher to train as crane, for example, and I'm using just because it's fresh in my brain, but like, the sheets that I had in the factory where they go over the different, different characteristics of the animal, but also like the benefits of, at an anatomical level, but then also at a performance level, and then just maybe whatever else you want to share from there.
Well, crane is all about balance. I mean, that's number one. And crane is about balance. It's about being able to be steadfast and patient. It's calculated. It does not make the characteristics. So it's going to, in here in a minute, it'll translate to the body format. But when you're dealing with something like crane, it's a bird, and that literally can sleep with one leg. The other leg is up, and the one leg is down, and it'll sleep that way. It does not, and there's an amazing amount of balance that goes with it. Well, that crosses over into our athletic performance in a lot of ways, because if we're not allowing ourselves to be balanced, then we're going to have issues already as it is. We can talk about pitchers who are typically, okay, I'm so focused with my right arm or my left arm, but I'm not really focused on one side of the body. Oh, I do work out, and I do work out with, weights, but a lot of it could be barbell weight. When you should be doing more dumbbell work, because the fact is that your body has to be symmetrically, not just looking good. This is not about looking good. It's symmetrically being able to perform from a backside to a front side. Let's just make it very simple. So your transition in a pitch has got to be in a position of going from this one balance of stability, moving through and still be balanced through that front, and being able to accurately put the ball where it needs to be. Well, the crane is that very thing that supports all of that. You have to be focused. I mean, most of the animals, like tiger, I could get you all emotional and you can still do the work. But if I get you emotional during a crane movement, I can promise you're not going to be able to stay in that crane posture. So it's being able to also mentally be able to shut out everything. When you're on the mound, you've got to learn to be able to shut everything out. You got to shut out the coaches. You got to shut out your own mind. You got to shut out all the things that have happened to you that day. It could be a girl breakup. It could be a family member. It could be a ton of things. Crane shuts it all out because of the fact it is a bird and the fact that there's many predators. So crane is one of those kind of things. It doesn't go through. It has a defense mechanism. It has the offense mechanisms. At the very beginning of crane posturing is going to find out where your balance is. It's going to find all of the things that you're having challenges with. With crane posturing, it's going to help fix, or not only find, but then learn to fix that problem or fix those kind of challenges that you may have had. It's also going to be able to help through a pitch. For instance, I can see somebody who's possibly a crane kind of a mentality, but you can see the fight that they have within their own selves to actually complete the whole process. Crane is very relaxed. It's not a kind of these where your breath is so whole, like, and then you let it go at the very end and you think that I've done a phenomenal job. How much more could you have done through the movement if you were in a crane posture or in a crane kind of mindset that you're relaxed all the way through? And it's more of a whipping action. Think of it's like wings. It's not going to be able to take flight if it keeps forcing it. And not only that, it has to be able to flow in the air. It has to be able to have endurance. I've heard, I heard just this last, well, my endurance, I need to work on my endurance. I can say this, that in the movements themselves creates that endurance, but it also creates the ability to utilize muscle groups you haven't really touched on. It's going to focus on muscle groups that you don't necessarily get in the gym. It's going to make you feel like you've been in the gym. And I can promise you, oh, well, I lift, 300 pounds. Okay, well, if I put you in a crane posture and I put you crane through the bamboo and you can't even hold that for a minute, we got issues. That means your endurance level is nowhere near what it needs to be. So if you can't even hold the posture, if you can't hold those particular movements, then that is basically your gauge on how I can then utilize this to help me to be able to perform even better. The animals have been around for 500 years plus. This is something that they've used forever. I have just been able to take that information and then put it into a conditioning tool, if you will, and then utilize those animals for each body part. Some will focus on many different body parts. Some of them will focus only on legs. Some will focus on, but I can promise you, every one of them is going to work with your core. Every one of them is going to work with your pelvic side. So it's going to help you with your torque. It's going to help you with the twist. It's going to help you to be able to move more freely about the cabin, if you will. The other thing too is that crane is about the sinew. It's really about being able to stack. It's going to be able to work on the tendons. It's going to be working on the very small muscle groups as much as it is on the primary muscle as well. So the combination of crane for a pitcher, and most people are doing kind of a crane type stuff anyway. There's very few tigers out there.
Yeah, that's why I kind of threw it at this group specifically too, just because we have some long-armed,
yeah,
bullet peppers. Yeah, these guys are some.
Yeah, the training in of itself, it looks. What's funny is that it looks like it doesn't look like a lot, but I can promise you, you do it, you're going to know it. You will feel it. And we've had pros that came in. I've had people. Back when we were back over in that other warehouse, industrial warehouse, where we've had men come in and they just looked at it like, yeah, whatever. And then they got in there and actually did it. 5 minutes later they're throwing up,
Ethan's up there smiling. I can see him right now.
So I think what it is that they underestimate the body in of itself in a lot of ways. Weights are highly important. I would also recommend, only because I've been listening, when you're in the weight room, and it's good to do like fast twitch type muscle groups. I'm not against that. I mean, utilize it, whatever. But if you truly want to get more endurance, it's the slower, the better. And the reason for that is that I'm going to now focus on the extension, and I'm using my arm as that example because that's what you could see. So I'm using this full, extension, and I'm doing it in a very concentrated and a slow way, but I'm extending it as far as I can, and I'm holding it there. 1, 2, 3, pull up. And as I pull through, then at the very peak, I'm going to squeeze. Now, what that's going to do is cause great amounts of tension on the muscle. You can do that. Literally, if I had 40 pounds, I could do this with a lot of reps, and eventually I will fatigue. And like, well, I could do 40 pounds doing this. So you pick up your 40, and I could promise you do it at a slower pace, that muscle is going to fatigue much faster because you're now concentrating. Because in a fast twitch, you're utilizing a lot of muscle groups, not necessarily that one peak muscle. Now, again, I'm illustrating with a bicep movement, but if you can imagine if I did that with shoulders or chest or back or rear delt or middle delt. And what I'm doing is that I focus on full extension, holding it down, concentration, pulling it all the way up in a steady move. I'm not swinging it. I'm literally pulling it through where I'm only focusing on that muscle group. And then it's going to fatigue way much faster than you thought. And then you're going to have to drop set it. And by the time you drop set 2 or 3 of those, you're down to maybe 5 pounds or 10 pounds, and it's going to feel like they're 100. That's where muscles learn. They have to go, I got to get more muscle fibers. I have to engage. So immediately muscle fibers are wanting to engage, and thereby you're going to find that it's going to, when it increases more muscle fibers, that means that now you're going to have the ability to be able to endure much more than what you were before. Now, again, I'm not saying that doing fast twitch type muscle group is bad. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is that the balance between the two is that I would probably start here, because you could do fast twitch. You're like, oh, I got a great time. Okay, well, let's see what you do with the concentration movement and see how fast that muscle fatigues. And if it's fatiguing at 5 reps and you're supposed to do 12, then you got a lot more work to do. Then you need to drop the weight. And actually, you're going to build leaner muscle. You're going to build more muscle, and building muscles. Well, I don't want to get big. I've heard that from. It's not like that.
I just say Araldus Chapman.
Huh?
Look at Araldus Chapman. That guy lifts weights every day, and he's 37, still throwing 104, and he's having the best year of his career at age 37. So
you're going to have, you want strong.
Scoob lifts like an animal after his starts.
You have to. I mean, this is the problem with athletics in today's society. They got a lot of it is science. I get that. They use a lot of the science, and it's cool to have all the technology. But let me just say this, is that it's still not going to differ. There's no difference. I mean, the muscle is the muscle. Nutrition, of course, is absolute. You cannot deal without it. It's impossible. And if
speaking of that, do you have any nuggets for these guys tonight on nutrition?
Honestly, I think it's going to. I want to make you guys more aware of. People go about and talk about nutrition. I want you to understand, as athletes, that your body goes through a massive amounts of fatigue, and it will wear the mind out. It will actually, you start to lag in your performance because becomes no motivation. You don't want to. You get to that place, and it's like you're fighting with yourself, almost like you're outside looking in, because you put so much on you, you become mentally fatigued. Well, that is going to cause a problem when you're on the mound. That will eventually cause you to lose track and possibly create an injury. The other part about this is glycogen stores. You know, there's a lot of fads out there, the carnivore diet and all this stuff. But your carbohydrates is what you have to have in a performance.
Yes,
Your
sir.
fats are not as efficient as carbohydrates. That's just simple science.
Can
Your
you tell us
carbohydrates
a
is
little
what-
bit about that glycogen that you just mentioned, right? Like I know what glycogen is, but maybe just make sure these guys know what glycogen is.
Well, glycogen storage is basically that's your energy storage. That's the energy where the energy is stored. Everybody understand that? So,
and you get glycogen from certain types of foods,
carbohydrates and fat typically. But the problem is fats are so much slower that it's hard for the body to like just continuously burn those. You want fats, don't get me wrong, because that's healthy for the brain function. You need fats to help with brain function and so forth. But you need those carbs as a performer in performance, carbohydrates, because carbs, you got the simple carbs and the long chain carbs. Long chain carbs means it's going to stay in the system or stay in the body and burn a lot slower than a fast carb. Well, like a fruit. For instance, if I eat a banana, that's quick energy, okay? But if I'm eating oatmeal, it's going to release a lot slower. So that means that I can then have more endurance utilizing my carbohydrates more properly. So if I'm in the gym 6 days a week and then I'm going out and then I go pitch, you know, and I'm out there for another hour and a half, and or if I've got to do a game on top of everything else, maybe the next day, you're going like, well, I'll just grab me some food. No, you don't just grab yourself some food. You don't. You need to treat this. This is literally, food becomes now your supplement, if you want to call it that. It's literally the very thing that's going to make sure that you don't become injured at one point, and then that way you have the endurance. So combination of this with those animals like we're talking about, which I'm excited about. I'm hoping that we have more of the opportunity to engage with those. And if you guys ever have that opportunity,
yeah, I think we want to have some activities too. I mean, we could show, even before we get off the call tonight, we can share with these guys a movement if you want to share. If you have a movement you'd like to share for the evening.
Well, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just throw you on the spot there, Sifu.
So I think what it is that the animal movements are an addition to what you're doing. And honestly, it's 3 different steps. So it's first the foundation, which is your postures and your bridges, which help to basically stretch the body out. It's in dynamic stretching that it helps the process of the body, gets the blood flowing into the extremities. Then you get into the second part of that, which is basically on the more of the recovery side. It's utilizing this to help with the recovery. So it's a stretch movement. It's not too heavy. But the third and final is the performance. That's where basically I get you into a group scenario. I put you through it. You have to do a minimum of 12 at the beginning. Eventually, then you have to do time. And so you could be doing the tiger press, you know, and then you immediately go right into tiger circles. I think, Ethan, you know a little bit about that, correct? So these are kind of the things that we did or have done that are only going to help you, because it will preserve your body. It only help your performance. I've had besides baseball, I've had football. I've had professional football players, ex-professional football players. I've had yoga masters, Pilates masters. I've had as a beta test, I've literally had every type of sport that have come in, and every one of them, no matter what their fitness level was, they did this. And I can tell you without even, it was killer.
Yeah, I will second that.
It destroys them. I had yoga masters that would come in and I expected them to do like amazing and, you know, without any issue. And they were dying. You know, within the first, you know, with just doing tiger alone. This is not about to boast of what I do, but basically how this is only going to help you strengthen your body. it strengthens, not only it's going to create the endurance, it's also going to create the strength. It's actually going to help with the development of the muscle. It's also going to be able to help with your mindset. It's going to push you to a limit that you probably thought you had, and it's going to push it a little bit beyond that. And then it's going to help with overall the stretch and keep you long and keep you flexible. It's going to keep you, what is that, the word, frosty? Is that the word? So it's going to help you keep you into that peak performance. The animals have been designed to do body and soul, your mind, will, and emotions. Without the soul, the mind, will, and emotions connected, your body is never going to be able to do it. Try it. Separate your body from, separate your mind from your pitch, and let's see what happens. Separate your emotions from your pitch. Let's see what happens. Okay. It is a combination that if you learn to focus that, it will be absolutely more powerful. And, you could go, well, the science says this and that and that. Well, that's great. Science is, there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But this has been around for over 500 years. So the track record for this well extends more than anything the Western science can ever provide. And what's funny is it's so unorthodox that it actually causes ripples within the community of the for performance, because they're so used to doing Western side. But if you can utilize both and put them together, which I do.
You see it. Yeah, I'm gonna say you see it everywhere though. Like once you see it, you see it in all sport. You see it in dance. You see it in the way, the patterns, especially once you learn some of the.
If you learn just some of the movements, you're going to find out, oh, I didn't realize that my wrist moved that way, or I didn't know my shoulder couldn't do that, or I could do that. You're going to find out that, you can be a little bit more flexible. A lot of people I do a little test, like, okay, you pitchers should be able to have literally being able to be twisting your core in such a way. And I find a lot of times it's still stagnant in so many different ways. And could we open it up? Yeah, we just use snake if we need to open that up. So I think what it is that the animals are still somewhat, I would call, new in the mindset of the athletes, a lot of the coaches, because of the fact that they can't do it. In other words, no one teaches it. Number two, it's unorthodox. Number three, you can't patent it. You can try to mimic it, but then, you do it correctly, then it's a whole different ballgame. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's about the best thing I can say regarding the animals.
Well, do you have a move you could leave the guys with tonight? Something that they can do at home? Because I think three of these guys asked about stuff that they can do away from here or away from the field. And I'm just thinking, like, especially some of the crane stuff is you could do it in your room, really almost any of the animal stuff.
Well, you pretty much could do anywhere, pretty much. I mean, on a stagnant kind of, when I say positioning type deal of a crane movement, a posture, I think the most common posture is craning through the bamboo, flying through the bamboo grove. Something else too, real quick, and I'll end it with this, but something you guys need to realize that when I call them out like this, there is a reason for it. It's not just some cool name. There is a reason behind it. And if you're ever in one of my classes, you'll get to understand, oh, I see what you mean by that, why I said that, what I meant by that. These are actually stories that help to reframe the mind in a lot of ways. We have a lot of positive thinking. We can go through all of those kinds of things too. But I think what it is that it opens it up to even more of the idea. Let me see if I can make this happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here too. Seeing if I can.
The only way I can think.
I think I have enough room, but I'm upstairs here.
Well, you still couldn't see it that way.
We can bring it up.
Let's see, maybe this. So there is a posture. You'll have to really understand. You're going to go into what we call a long stance. So the long stance is one leg out.
Stand up if you guys can, wherever you're at. If you got room. I
Let's
know
see.
Williams has done this one before, so he knows. Oh yeah, we see you now.
One leg, you're going to go into a long stance. Okay. Your back leg is long and it's stretched out and your foot is turned. So think about the mound. Think about where your foot placement is on that mound and then put that back foot on that. So act like it's on there. The front leg is bent at a 90-degree angle, complete 90 degree, not halfway, not part way, 100% at a 90-degree angle. Once you get to that position, your right hand, if it's your right leg that's out, then your right hand is
lefty in this group. So.
And if it's left, then it's a left hand. So when you put your right hand out or your left hand out, your palm is facing up. It's straight out, not partial out, not bent, unless you're Zing, who's got a little bit of an issue there.
This is my left arm. No, I'm all right. So
okay, so all the way completely out. The next piece to this is that you're going to take the other hand, put it right underneath the elbow. Now, that's where the knuckles are underneath the elbow. So the palm is facing down. You're going to keep your shoulders straight and flat, and then you're going to extend as far as you can possibly go without changing the knee. In other words, all I want to do is I want to extend as far as I possibly can, and then I want you to hold that position. So it's kind of hard, but let me see if I can make it look a little bit better. So from this position, you're going to stretch out as far as you possibly can go. And when you do, hold it as long as you can. That's going to put a lot of pressure on the quad.
Yes, sir.
Let me pull this up so I can see what you guys are doing. So if you do that, you got to go all the way out. Okay, put your hand, though, your palm is facing down, Ryan. Is that Ryan?
Ryan, yep.
Okay, palm is facing down. No. Palm, that the arm that is extended, his palm is facing up. The hand that goes under the elbow, the palm is facing down. There you go. There you go. That's it, Nathan. Good job, Ethan. So you want to get there, and then you want to stretch. You want to get it as long as you possibly can get. Now, doing that movement is your posture. Okay. Now, with that particular stance, stay in that stance. Now, you can do this, hold. This is going to focus on your breath. Because if you're holding, you're going, don't. Control your breath. Now, put both hands straight out in the long stance. Go into the long stance, put your hands straight out in front of you. Palms together, like so. Then I want you to just come up and extend your core. So what you're going to do is all you want to do is allow that core to come up. Don't move your leg. So keep your leg at the 90-degree angle. Stretch, come up, and then open up your shoulder. So in other words, you're going to stretch it as far back as you possibly can go. Let me see what you got. There you go. Stretch it out as far as you can go. Now, if you ever wanted to, you can increase that by putting like heavy ball in your hands and make that something else. Okay.
Yeah, I love that.
You could put a heavy ball and then make that basically something that would help with your endurance. Okay. I know this was kind of a little difficult. I know that at one point.
I think that's helpful right there, though. See, that's a good one. We can revisit that. Maybe you and I, like we were talking about getting on just with you and I, and we can film that one for these guys and get that.
Basically wanting that front leg, keep a knee over ankle, basically, right? That's
Correct.
what you're saying, keeping that 90, right? Okay.
Correct.
That's
and
what
the
I
only
wrote
thing
down.
that's moving is
So I
the
just wanted to
torso.
make sure.
Yeah. So basically, think of this as your waist right here, and the
Yeah.
only thing that's moving is this part up here.
Right.
Everything
Right.
else is flat. Okay. It's not as easy as it looks.
No, that just,
So, doing something like that, I'm praying that as we move forward in the future, that maybe at that facility we can do some more work.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are away.
But it'll give them
College,
video.
but especially, we can get it going with the guys that are around. And then I do think, like, even with Ethan, like we did before, we can just live stream. And once they learn the stuff, they can do it from wherever they're at.
Yeah, that worked.
Because there's a lot of these guys that are in other states. Actually,
I'm sure.
actually all I don't know if there's any. Well, there's Nate's in the state right here. Everybody else is out of the state.
Okay. Well, that's the only thing. What we'll do is, like I said, the animals have been around for a very long time. It's part of the martial arts. What you are actually learning is the animal postures and so forth, but that teaches you the forms in which all comes together, all of these animals. Then there's the martial practices of this. But remember, this was all started with the conditioning. It didn't start with the martial application. It started with the body, understanding the body itself. And it was to understand every muscle group. Everybody knows who Bruce Lee is. And if you don't, I'll be surprised. But Bruce Lee was someone that actually could control every piece of his body. He can control it. If you saw old videos, he was playing ping pong with someone and he was using nunchucks to hit the ball back to him. That's how much precision and control he had with every part of his body. His eyesight, every aspect. I mean, he controlled every piece of the body. Every muscle he had full, complete control over. So his mind and his body reaction times were insane. That's the reason why he was able to do the speeds that he was able to create. And what did he use? He used not only he was using Wing Chun, but he also had a background in the Shaolin aspect of it, which was amazing. So it was, and by the way, Wing Chun uses crane and snake. So you know. So it was those very mindsets and those very styles that was coming out during those times. And Bruce used oh, wait a minute, we got in the Western world, we had weight training. So he was like, oh, I didn't actually lift weights. So he was a believer in the weight training. He was a believer in dynamic tension, which we haven't gone into. You talk about breath.
That's a fun topic.
I know you talked about breath. So the internal tigers actually work with your breath and actually increasing the endurance in the lungs for breath. So, that would be something, later on.
That'd be a fun call to dive into some of that stuff with these guys too, because we could do that.
Yeah, that would be definitely easy to do.
That'd be a challenge for them, though, because I know how hard some of that stuff is.
Well, because the thing is you have to go to 12. You cannot stop between. The reason for that is because it actually causes imbalances in the body. The 12 is a magic number. So when you're doing these types of breaths, it's always 12. Huh?
They'd have to sign up for that one all in then. You got to do the whole thing.
Well, it's not going to mess them up like that day. I mean, unless they want to pass out, we might lose somebody passing out. But yeah,
you just want to hold your breath. You could do that. So
yeah, you're using dynamic movement, but you're actually creating breath, more power in the lungs, and creating more lung power. So that actually helps with your overall performance as well. That's part of the 12 internal tigers. There is many versions or many different things of 12 internal tiger. I can show one that I think you guys will like. You ever done this before where you just rub your face? Have you? When you woke up, maybe you're tired and you're like, oh God, and you rub your face.
I did this one in the shower.
Have you done that? Yes or no? Yes, baby?
Yes.
The head's good.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So actually, this is part of the 12 and one of the 12 internal tigers. A lot of the stuff that you do, you don't realize how much I can see. So what you're doing is that you take a big inhale, and when you inhale, you're moving your hands up. When you exhale, you're moving your hands down in a circular motion and you bring it back to the center and then you go back up, inhale, and then down. Okay. What you're doing is you're going to cause your face to actually get as red as possible. They call it the cherry blossom. And so all it is, and you're using the ha sound, and you do it to 12 to 24 times. If you do that, I can promise you, you will be awake at that point. You're like, ding, lights are on. The other benefit too, I know you guys are all, your girlfriends probably tell you how beautiful and sexy you guys are, just, your good looking faces and all. But what it will do is it actually stimulates the blood vessels in the face, and it will actually not only stimulate them, it causes collagen, and it also helps with like the stresses of performance that would cause wrinkles, really, and cause stress lines. So what this will do is repairs all of that. So it makes you stay as young as me.
I guess I like to do it with the contrast shower too. Like I always end with cold water, and then I like to kind of do that as that cold water is hitting me because it.
Yeah, you could do it. You could do it however you like, but it's 12 to 24 times, and and you really press it in, so you can really get your face as red as possible. And it's a simple movement. It's not like I wouldn't do this in front of people because people might get you, look at you weird. I don't care personally, so I don't care if I do it in front of people or not, but you might. So just doing this, and you want to do it. You want to do it kind of not light. You're not just doing a light movement. You're pressing into your face. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important. It's not light. It's okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, that will get into something. That will be a different conversation. But there you go.
They'll meet the tiger one of these days, the rest of the way, not just the lion sitting there.
The day will come. The day will come when the tiger comes off its mountain, which I'm hoping comes very soon for me. So then I can be with you, Zing.
Oh no!
And then we'll have a lot more fun. So yeah. Anyway, any questions?
Sign me right up.
Any questions?
Anybody got questions for Sifu? Then we'll get out of here.
For those crane postures, what would you recommend time-wise, sets-wise, all that?
Do 3 sets of 15 for crane. Every animal has a number. Crane is usually 15. Okay. If you're going to do that, so 3 sets, everything is in multiples of 3, always multiples of 3. So even so 12, 15, you hear it. So you got the 3 somewhere in there is the 3s. So crane is 3s, tiger is 12. The 12 is its number. So make sure that you do anything between 3. If you go, well, I want to do 6, you could do 6, you could do 9, you could do however many you want. But I would recommend just starting with 3 sets, do 15 reps. Make sure your breath is there. And the breath in crane, and I will mention, it's not that's tiger. That's more of that kind of realm. With crane, it's a saw sound almost, and it sounds like the word saw, but it's okay. Yeah. So when you're doing the out, you're inhaling, big inhale, and then okay. It's more of that.
Gotcha. Thanks.
You bet. Good question. Thank you. Very good question. Anybody else? All right.
Well, thanks, boys. Appreciate you guys jumping on with us. Sifu, thank you for joining us. We'll be doing more.
Okay.
And God bless y'all. Have a great week. Thanks for breathing.
All right. Have a good one,
Appreciate
guys.
it, fellas.
Bye-bye.
On out.
Thank you guys.
See you.
Thanks.
Peace.